Listo, se está preparando la transmisión. Voy a también iniciar la grabación. Listo, ya pueden iniciar.
Hola a todos, muy buenos días. Vamos a comenzar, por favor. Hace 10 años, cuando iniciaba mi postdoc en la Universidad de California, descubrí un mundo que ni siquiera sabía que existía. Mientras nosotros investigábamos en nuestros laboratorios, un grupo de profesores usaban aulas de clases como laboratorios para investigar qué herramientas docentes hacían del aprendizaje un proceso más disfrutable y efectivo. Esto fue una experiencia muy enriquecedora para mí y decidí que debía compartirla. En el Sinvestab, cada año graduamos cientos de estudiantes de posgrado de programas de excelencia en investigación científica y tecnológica, pero la mayoría de ellas o ellos se gradúan sin ninguna capacitación docente. Desde la primera edición de este taller en 2018, buscamos cambiar esto. Durante esta semana, aquí en Sinvestab Mérida, 32 de nuestras estudiantes y estudiantes de posgrado de 6 unidades y 17 programas distintos, con curiosidad y o escepticismo, participarán en un programa intensivo e inmersivo de formación docente basada en la evidencia, también conocida como docencia científica. En poco tiempo, no pretendemos hacerlos expertos ni expertas en el complejo mundo de la docencia científica, pero queremos darles algunas herramientas prácticas para que puedan aplicarlas en sus futuros salones de clase. Hacerlos conscientes de que esta disciplina existe, de la gran responsabilidad que tienen como futuras profesores universitarios y sobre todo de inspirarlos a que como yo pasen la estafeta a más generaciones. Quiero agradecer primero que nada a los chicos y chicas que están aquí por su interés y confianza. Espero que esta experiencia sea tan transformativa para cada uno de ustedes como lo fue para mí. Al secretario académico, al doctor Gabriel López Castro, de la que por su continuo apoyo ha permitido la realización de esta actividad por tercera ocasión. A mis colegas de la Universidad Mérida por recibirnos y especialmente a la doctora Silvia Salas por ayudarnos a realizar este taller que por primera vez fuera de la Ciudad de México. Esperemos llegar pronto también a otras unidades, poder llevar el taller pues, a la mayor cantidad de estudiantes posible. Bueno, chicos, pues es un placer para mí estar aquí, iniciar este taller por tercera ocasión. Ya tuvimos un par de actividades, pues, una experiencia muy enriquecedora para todos. Y para dar inaugurado el taller, me gustaría invitar al director de la Universidad de Merida, que tengo entendido que se inauguró también él como director, al doctor Manuel Vidal, que nos dé unas palabras de inauguración. Muchas gracias, doctor, por estar aquí. Y bueno,
gracias, Marco, muy amable. Gracias a todos por su asistencia y gracias por la oportunidad de dirigirme a ustedes para comentarles algunos aspectos que creo que son súper relevantes. Muy bien, traigo un escrito, así que voy a comenzar por aquí. Dice, estimados todos, me es muy grato poder compartir con ustedes este tercer taller intensivo de docencia científica impartido por el doctor Marco Namat Bersunzan, del Laboratorio de Biología de Sistemas del Sinvestab Zacatenco. Al igual, agradezco enormemente la participación de todos los estudiantes que nos acompañan, tanto en persona como remotamente. Gracias por acompañarnos y por darse a la tarea de fortalecer sus capacidades para impartir docencia. Gracias a la doctora Silvia Salas por todos sus esfuerzos en la organización de este taller. Tengo entendido que se superaron las expectativas de los organizadores en cuanto al número de estudiantes que se matricularon para asistir al taller. Y esto muestra sin duda el interés de los jóvenes por adquirir estas capacidades y de la buena fama que goza este taller para proveer estos conocimientos. De hecho, tengo entendido que asistirán 38 estudiantes y 5 profesores de forma presencial y se espera asistencia de forma virtual a nivel nacional e incluso internacional, atendiendo las charlas magistrales que se transmitirán por el canal de YouTube de Sinvesta. Agradezco también a los colegas de otros países por estar contribuyendo. Thank you very much, Professor Michael Gain from Florida. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you. And, okay. Y entonces les agradezco a todos estas charlas magistrales y sé que asistirán al taller de todas las unidades de Sinvestab, como acaba de decir el doctor Marco, y de Zacatenco, y que localmente habrá estudiantes de los 3 departamentos de esta unidad. Este es sin duda un tema nodal en estos tiempos, debido a que debemos de estar perfectamente entrenados para poder transmitir el conocimiento. Cuán cierto es el hecho de que el ser un buen investigador no le hace a uno un buen profesor o un buen maestro. Es fundamental para los profesionales en ciernes y también para los investigadores establecidos el desarrollar y o fortalecer sus capacidades para transmitir el conocimiento. En este sentido, agradezco enormemente al doctor Marco Namat el haber sacado por primera vez de Sinvestab Zacatenco este taller. Este tipo de talleres benefician a estudiantes y académicos en formación docente, relevante si consideramos la misión de Sinvestab en investigación y formación de recursos humanos. Sin duda, yo me siento muy orgulloso de las capacidades científicas de mis colegas, que son reconocidos ampliamente tanto a nivel nacional como internacional. Sin embargo, tengo que reconocer que muchos de nosotros no tenemos una formación docente adecuada y que esto merma la capacidad para transmitir la pasión y el gusto por desarrollar los temas de investigación. Por tanto, si hemos de autonombrarnos como una institución de excelencia, debemos de desarrollar y fortalecer estas capacidades didácticas con gran ahínco y seriedad. Además, el avance de las herramientas didácticas en línea nos lleva a la necesidad de estarnos actualizando constantemente para poder estar a la altura que se requiere. Felicito nuevamente al doctor Marco Namat y a la doctora Silvia Salas por el enorme esfuerzo en la organización de este taller y por el compromiso que han demostrado en mejorar las capacidades de transmisión del conocimiento, tanto en estudiantes como en profesores de la institución. Estoy seguro de que esta es una semilla que fructificará no solo en esta generación, sino en aquellas por venir, para ser capaces de llevar a cabo la transmisión del conocimiento de forma amena y efectiva. Todo esto con miras a desarrollar nuevas vocaciones científicas y a transmitir a los tomadores de decisiones y al público en general la relevancia de los hallazgos científicos desarrollados día a día en Sinvestab y en otras instituciones. Mi más ferviente deseo de que este evento sea un éxito rotundo. Muchas gracias. Y ahora, siendo las 9:15 del día 7 de noviembre de 2022, declaro inaugurados los trabajos de este tercer taller intensivo de docencias. Muchas gracias.
Muy bien. Muchas gracias, doctor Víctor. Para comenzar ahora sí formalmente las actividades académicas del taller, es un placer para mí dar al doctor Michael Gain. Voy a hacer su presentación en inglés para que puedan entender lo que estoy diciendo sobre él. Vamos a escucharlo a él, no a mí, entonces voy a ser muy breve. Professor Michael Gain, it's a really honor to have you here with us. I have spent a couple of, well, a day with you, and I think we have lots of common interests in education. It has been wonderful to having you here in Mexico. Professor Michael Gaines is a professor at the University of Miami in Florida, in the United States of America. He has done so much, not only in his research area, which is understanding the behavior of mammals, mice, to elephants and lions in Africa, very interesting research. But today I'm not going to talk much about his impact in research. I would like, we invited because the contribution in the inspiration of students towards science, um, engineering in general. So he has been doing amazing work, not only in the class, but also doing lots of programs to make science accessible to students. Yesterday, I was talking to him, and he was telling me about this amazing program that he launched in the United States with funding from the National Science Foundation to help middle and high school students in the United States to be mentored by graduate students and undergraduate students as well, to get closer to science and to make science accessible and part of their lives. And this has had an enormous impact in society, and I think it's a source of inspiration for all of us. So Michael Gaines, also in the classroom, has made lots of very important contributions. Some research he has measured, published some papers, science education, and his work again is an inspiration for me and hopefully for you, Michael. It's a great pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming to our workshop, and welcome to Simba.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Let me change the screen. It's really a privilege to be here today. Talk to you. It's my privilege. You're honored. Me. Because my life, and go through this slide. This, I'm on the screen. Yeah. We'll have to do some changes here because I wanted to show you this video that we had put together, students. Okay, let me just go back. So my title for this talk is the primary at present. My life. And the key here for a PhD, science or medicine, because my parents never got out of high school in New York City from the Bronx, never left high school. All they said, Michael, be a doctor, be a doctor. They weren't thinking about the kind of doctor I am today. They had real doubts about whether in fact it was what I was doing if I went for PhD. So they had real doubts about me seeking another profession. They kept pushing me towards that. They thought, right? So I guess in those days I'd make a lot of money. I loved people. They knew I loved people. So that's really what pushed them, pushed me. But then after college, I realized, and watching the life of teachers influenced me, and I still remember Irving Ribner at Tulane University when I was a graduate. I mean, he was a Shakespearean scholar. Shakespeare the way his passion rose. Shakespeare talking about King Lear, talking about Hamlet. I mean, it really turned me on to why reading Shakespeare was important. And to this day, I go and see Shakespeare play wherever I can, due to Irving Ritter. I had a wonderful biology professor named Peter Volpe, and he was a evolutionary ecologist. And I looked at his lifestyle, inspirational, and he also had great influence on where I am today. So what you'll find over time, as you go forth, sally forth, you'll find that there'll be people along the way that will really impact you and make a difference in where you're going to wind up. See up here, that's what's happened. So here I am. I saw the light. I went for a PhD. He's a graduate student, long hair, really long hair. Back then, I was trapping mice and looking at small mammals at that point in my life. Graduate got a PhD looking at genetic changes in small mammal populations, voles, prairie voles related to lemmings that undergo life cycle, 4-year cycles rather. And so that was that's what I was doing. Then I was able to get a job at the University of Kansas, and there I continue my work trapping mice. It's never understood that. My mother coming out the field, and I just laugh about it today. Then from there, I decided after being in Kansas for a long time, I went to the University of Miami, and at that point in my career, I was really interested in administration to some extent, and I wanted to mix that with research. And in this area here, oh, there we go. We got it. So what has happened over time, I went ahead and I got really excited about education later in my career. So that's really that point that I was really late. This is really much later. At this point, see me today. Magnifier effect of how I professionally science. How I got into and you know what? You know what? Simple story. It was based on some really great teaching that inspired me to be what I am today. Standing on the shoulder of giants. David. Look, students that go into science, it starts early. Yeah, you could start in elementary school for that matter, and that's really what today. But let's look in terms of influences on me, science, as well as some reports. And so what I'll start with is this paper by Eric Jolly. Eric Jolly was the president of the Minnesota Museum of Science. I heard him give a talk. He said, look, we got to get students interested in science and has to occur with engagement. He felt engagement was a key. You can't get them engaged, all is lost. And this he called the ECC trilogy because it wasn't just about engagement, it was about capacity. Engage students, get them interested in science. The next step, the capacity to succeed. So that's the next step in this process. And one, like good thing. So then, but then I heard some other folks. Equity. Well said. No involved to be sort of very important in terms of students succeeding. And so what we're looking at is psychosocial support. Really, students don't feel they belong. The imposter syndrome. You need also financial aid. That's a key. So I started really trying to get money for scholarships for those students that were disadvantaged, economically disadvantaged, also who also were underrepresented, didn't have role models, didn't know who to look to. And then finally, I found out also parental support is critical. You need your parents saying, hey, Michael, go for it. Go for it. You could be a professor. They thought I'd have the entire summer off and they had a high school teacher in mind. And they thought, so those are the at least some more early influences. So I got interested in science education, and we're good. It's not moving. Okay, we're gonna go back. Okay, let's go back to the scene. Okay, we're good. Good now. All right. So I think then what happened? Well, looking for would be programs, okay, that would then help pre-meds get into medical school, and they published this Scientific Foundations for Future Physicians, and the goal there was to put down 8 competencies for undergraduates, and they also talked a lot about active learning in there, and we'll get to active learning in a minute, and that was an important publication. Vision and Change, 2011, again, talking about getting research early, get students interested in research early. Support the president, that was in 2012, again, trying to really worry about getting competent teachers in classrooms. How we're going to get, at least in the United States, teachers that really know what they're doing teaching science. That was really an important document. And what came out about a month ago is this. This is called the Boyer 2030 Committee's report. And here it's all about having excellence with equity. Equity with excellence. And that is really a document. It's all me agreeing with the United States in certain schools where you do need, okay, you need to recruit students, you need to sort of get them connected, and that's another. Okay, this is a paper came out in Science, Graham et al., 2013. He basically hits on some of the themes in these early reports, and he talks about early research. Young working together for a common goal. That's what that report was about. And I thought that was really something I had to think about. And then active learning was most of these reports. Active learning. Then I realized committed across wherever we're going. And so I basically decided to just give up on that, right? I gave up. Yeah, I did. Because I mean, teaching, okay. Okay, here we go. Here we go. There, how you feeling? Getting up water? Oh, you're overwatering. No, it never happens when you overwater. But where plants, you kill plants that way really easily. And so, and this, I was going to throw this out to the group. Any pedagogical technique, okay, that engages students in the learning process. I put a thicker line around student because that's where the action's going to be with the student, right? So that's really important in terms of active learning. And that's about lots of conversations, the importance of active learning. And that is where I'm going to take you with this talk and tell you a little bit, vignettes, stories. I love to tell stories, small stories about the different courses that I've taught and how I try to put in active learning. People say, oh, active learning, what is that? Find on a meta study. This is by Freeman, Scott Freeman, who wrote a textbook on biology. He's a biologist. But he looked at this point, he had lots of studies, but he picked 67 studies out of this studies where you did it before and after. These are folks that went, did traditional lecturing like I'm doing, talking at you, like I know I'm the big sage on stage here, right? And he looked at the big sage on stage approaches, and then these are people who saw the light and said, oh, I'm going to give up a little light. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this class loose, do some activity. And so what you're looking here is actually, and he did an interesting regression analysis, logistic regression. And what he found is that, look, if you go onto this side, these are folks that went from traditional learning to active learning, and the students didn't do as well. Okay? They didn't do as well. And why? We'll talk about that in a minute. On this side, we have studies where, in fact, it increased. It increased. All in blue, it increased. And here's the mean in terms of the amount of increase in terms of failure rates. In other words, decreasing failure rates. And these are basically good. This is good. You're decreasing. Right? And so the problem with studies, but active learning works. Most biology sector kind of about, but I think mostly biology is what I remember. And it just shows, in fact, that it's working. In some cases, it doesn't work because active learning could be just you for 5 minutes doing something. So it's patient in the way, okay, active learning was measured. And so what do we do about all this? We'll take you off my large class. Active one is transforming the traditional instructor-centered lecture course. Biology 50 class, 150 class, general biology. We'll talk about transforming a cookbook lab. Make that active. I'll talk then about what story will be storytelling about it. Graduate lab. This is storytelling. Reading about, it's a case study. Future, where are we going? Where are we going? Not that I have a crystal ball. I have no crystal ball, but I'll give you my best guesses. So the repertoire on my active learning courses, here we go. Biology 150, 230 STEM majors. We have, in terms of my biology, STEM majors, small number. So I had taking lab, additional labs, looking at mitosis, biology. Then we have case studies course, which is thinking about stories and blanks. Thinking about full case studies. And finally, new idea. Biology theater. I just started that. And my idea is the cinema. It's theater. I love theater. And I would then try to find that in biology. So those are the 4 acts. We just built this big class, and I'll just show you a couple of kinds of activities we do. Average with 230 students. I'm giving you data from 2013 to 2016. I'm still doing it. Tuesdays and Thursday mornings for an hour and 50 minutes. And here's the components in terms of evaluation. 27 we have. Subject. It took the stuff. case studies that are produced by my upper levels. These are case studies in it's sparse from students on upper level course also on Facebook. So this again. But one of the but the way the class works is we call it the fishbowl model. Fishbowl model. In that, go ahead, class open. Stop. Copy. Or come up. You are in a big class. Not at least a problem in terms of people really paying attention. And it's blended learning with graded online assignments, which comes out of that textbook by Campbell's, the name of the textbook. And then also they have to do this before lecture. And then in lecture, I throw out questions. So here's a question that I threw out. Okay, real quickly. How would activity? Little story that he doesn't. I know this is really difficult. You might not hear us far, far away, but what are these images? Who's this guy? What? Who's this old guy? Yes, you got it, Charles Darwin. Okay. And let's look at this. What's that image? Got it, horseshoe crab. This image. What kind of shark? Hammerhead. Centuries. Okay. So what I do is try to tie these together. The horseshoe crab has remained the same, okay, over millions of years. And I ask why. Specialization here. Yeah. And so they didn't really affect, just to give you kind of a class activity. So what okay, we might need some technical help. Yeah. Get the mic here. We want people far away to hear us. I know. Yeah, I love them. I love them too. I do. I love them. I mean, I feel the same way you do. Okay. So the universe made a, and here's poet. Who I or what didn't know. And then what I what with brain cancer, how as parents you're taught you could help your child. That's what parents are taught. I didn't know if they could handle it. I decided to try it out before this cancer lecture, which goes on for two lectures, and you couldn't hear a pin drop. You could not hear a pin drop. And I said, these stories, they're compelling. And then when I asked them very detailed about checkpoint inhibitors, okay, just so you knew, I mean, get this stuff. They get all this stuff. And so they get all this stuff in that. Okay, get the, so and I also decided to look at videos, do videos. And so the students love it. But they have to make a video. They make a video on some scientific discovery for that'd be about 4 minutes to 5 minutes. And I'm going to just show you just a snippet of successful. Students have all they don't have to buy anything. Have iMovie. Am I okay with this? Are we good? Okay, good. Am I good? How am I doing with my? Okay, because it's hard. Okay, okay. So there's that. Then let's try video group randomly. But topic different ways, and then we have a 5-minute video that's posted, Vimeo with free, and then we go ahead and that's available for peer review. So group one, peer review, so forth and so on. So they get a critique, and after the critique, then they could make changes and students revise the video. So let's look. Oh, it's going to work. Okay, let's look through a little snippet of this. There we go. Ready, everybody? I want to just show. This is about telomere. Telomere is. So, okay, so let's go ahead. Let's do telomeres. And I'll just show you this. Here. I don't hear it.
Talk to Greta.
This is the beginning.
Telomeres, it's a telomeres, yeah, telomeres.
Rap.
This is the tale of two telomeres at the end of chromosomes where they appear under a microscope like burn and appear straight into the workings of DNA. It was in 1980 that this really lovely lady, Elizabeth Blackburn, saw an image that looked crazy. So in 1982, she teamed up with her crew. The telomeres protect you from losing nucleotides at 84. They find an enzyme.
I'll get this off in a minute. Okay, then I'll stop it in 1 second. Okay. And how it extends the DNA, and that if you have too much telomerase activities, it could turn into, particularly it's only produced in your germ cells, that could really lead to problems with cancer. And that related back to Nathan and the cancer lecture. And so it all ties together. So how do you grade it? How do you grade it? That's the problem when you're dealing with group work and you're dealing with the arts. And so we have a rubric, but this is the kind of we look for in terms of the biology, the accuracy, screenplay, et cetera, and it's 30 points. So we do put points on this, and 10 points for an individual critique. When you critique somebody else's, that's done individually. This has worked wonderfully. The students love it. So you want this for the students earlier. What we looked at is the project is useful in helping understand the process of discovery of biology. Red is good, meaning strongly agree, and then you go through these, writing the critique itself, help them with their writing. Here on the right, here the project helped me develop the ability to communicate general audience, just to develop these. Right, so there it is in terms of evaluation. Tried other things. I tried all kinds of crazy things. I'm not sure I'm going to put on there. So half of at least the Twitter people have been fired. So I mean, I don't know. Okay, by Elon Musk, not good. So we use Twitter, we use wiki pages, and I'll show you some stuff of, right in the classroom. I let them use their computers, and I'll ask a question. They'll basically tweet me back. I have that as assignments, and so that keeps them active in the classroom. Then we also do wiki. I think these wiki assignments are interesting because then you can invite experts to look classes wiki responses. And so we saw this movie a while back, Contagion, which was like a SARS. You see Contagion? The movie Contagion? Yeah, so it's like SARS. And so then I asked them to sort of comment on aspects of it, what looked real and what from their biological knowledge. I sent it to the CDC, director of the CDC. Then he wrote back and they commented on it. It just went wild. There was a paper about women not getting paid as much as men. It was written by a group of women. It's great. It was in Science Magazine. And then we looked at that. I invited those folks to respond to my students. They did. So this gives students a real boost that they're really active, doing things that are, and they feel like it's making a difference in the real world. Activity. I have four. Four is this. Going to get them going. To get them, I look at you and say, "Oh, am I doing okay with the mic?" Okay. So then we have cookbook labs, and I started seeing students getting bored. We did this in high school. Why are we doing this again and again and again? I'm tired of this. I'm tired. We got feedback. So we got money from Howard Hughes to create a research-based lab in the first year. The first year they're doing research in groups. I'm a big believer in group work. And so here you see, in terms of what the problems are, students' lack of ownership, descriptive, they get the answers, they know what the answers are. It's all kind of boring. All this spells boredom. Okay? So what we did was we put in research back to the labs, gave them advanced graduate students, advanced undergraduate. Students would work in teams. They'd be taught some technique that is reasonable to learn quickly. And then they would do original research and in some cases publish papers with the research faculty member in there. They had to come back and continue it beyond the lab, but they were interested enough in doing this. And we've had papers from groups, 6 students doing this. And this just shows you that they sit at tables, the way it's constructed, and Howard Hughes Medical Institute built the lab for us. And there's certain, you can't see this clearly, but over here, it's a table at 6, it's hexagonal table, 6 people. And we call these, at Howard Hughes Medical Institute, authentic research labs, integrating, biology and chemistry. We wanted to integrate. Another big message that comes out of these reports is integrate the disciplines. Don't just do biology, do chemistry. Try to get disciplines combining to do research. So this gives you kind of the overview, and projects are integrated. We have a theme, and we have one biology and one chemistry project each semester. They're hooked together, linked together. No matter how loose that connection is, we want them connected. You know that students work under a biology and chemistry faculty instructor. They get credit for both, get the same grade for both. Okay? And nanoparticle, yellow. I don't want to go project, but it really seems to work. We have a poster session, so it's active research. Presenting posters at the end. The group does this, and there they are. And we've evaluated. We have data, and we got a paper published on this because people thought it was interesting. So we published the paper, and I'll tell you that in a minute. The data, and what we use here again is we matched it with academically those that took the research lab. Match. We're looking at these propensity scores, and we have a control group in the system, right? That you can't argue, oh, they're smart kids, and they're taking this lab because they're so highly motivated. No, didn't do it that way. They're highly motivated. We don't do it that way. We have this propensity score, and it's pretty impressive in terms of the results. Okay, look to the right all the time. Now, look, what I want you to do is look on the right side. That's the positive side. Okay, and this is subsequent research. If they did research in this lab, let's look over here. Are they likely, based on this regression analysis, that are they likely to do research further on? The answer is, they're 1.5 more times more likely to pursue an search project based on this regression now. Right? Okay. Let's look at another metric. Graduation. Major. Do they stay in science? Remember, this is in their first year. And it's 1.6 times more likely. 1.6 times more likely they actually do graduate with a major. Let's look at another one. This is time graduate. Did they get too quick? Or did they linger on by taking this lab? The answer is they're 1.6 times more likely to graduate. This group, this control group. So all this really is good news. In fact, that this lab is making a difference in terms of the metrics, outcome. This is outcome data that I think is important. All right, got that done. Go on. Oh, Alan. All right. Take this lab over here. We'll 1.7 for like. Okay, good. So there we do. There we go. Okay, we're getting close to act 3. Okay, and these are real life situations that we're looking at: application, integration of knowledge, to storytelling. The challenging and fun. So we have different case studies. This was funded by the Howard Hughes Medical Institute. These were most here for this is this came out of a report which I showed you earlier, Nexus. Okay, and in terms of actually it wasn't a report, but that was a project we had. It's out of the Scientific Foundations for Future Physicians, and focused on these competencies. Those competencies, these were interdisciplinary by combining 2 different areas, and the objectives was apply basic scientific principles to these case studies, these scenarios, integrate different disciplines together. I talked about integration of disciplines is important, and then learn about some major factors influencing our health, and improve oral written. So what part 1 is. The structure is we bring students together, they look at these case studies, they have to fill in work, and then figure out what the answers would be. Lots of critical thinking involved. In fact, the expert from the medical school, from our medical school, comes in, follows up after they do the case study, and gives them real life examples that he or she faces to give them real life proof. Students learn more about the topic in depth from that. Part 2, groups develop their own case study that I then look at, modify, use it in my general class. Using them, and they know about that. And there's peer review, by the way, of the case studies that we do. Same thing. And the grading, okay, let's not worry about it too much. It's their group work, their how they fill out, how they do the case study, how they work together. And another real problem in evaluation is, how do you really evaluate group? Really hard to do. How do you know they're hitchhiking? What students have to do is evaluate their peers, okay, anonymously, so we can detect it. We can detect hitchhikers. As long as the majority of the people in that group identify a person as a hitchhiker, they're graded. So people all work together, forced to adapt. And then we look at, okay, in terms of grading questions, that they also have to ask questions when we come back about the case study, how they look, how they basically understand the case study, and that. 5 minutes. Okay, so what Wallace is showing you is data we have on motivation, and we're looking at different categories from three. Red's good, yellow is neutral, blue is bad. Good. We look at it, and we're getting good case studies. It's in the units about diabetes. Bad blood is dope. 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 People, I mean, again, these are case studies that students relate to, and they all like it. And I think that's important. This is critical thinking. That's my next. See that it's really, again, red's pretty high in terms of critical thinking. And then common elements now. Storytelling, digital storytelling. The common aspects are group interaction. They work in groups. All the storytelling. Talking about videos, comic strips. Also, this is all the same. Peer review of everything. We peer review. We do assess. Okay, we assess. The peer rating of group members based on anonymous peer rating. They do the work, and then student assessment of the project based on your materials with another group. Okay, current directions, and then I go to done. Okay. Act 4, we're going to get Act 4 now. Current directions now. Okay, acquisition of factual information. Centered where I'm here. Student competition, they're fighting for their A's. They want my A's. I hope that next person sits there fails. So if he fails or she fails, I'm gonna look good. I'm gonna look real well. Meaningful way. All right? So that's that. Lecture, we sit, listen to the expert who thinks he or she knows a lot, so active learning via discovery. Last. Sorry. Thanks for moaning. Good. It's good to hear. Okay. Means you're listening. Okay. All right. So here we go. Now, hey, there's only really one playwright. It's Chekhov, by the way. So Chekhov writes 4-act plays. Just wanted you to know that. I looked that up. Near the bus. Okay. So now the active back to the future. Right? Integrating STEM with not done this before, but I think it's worth a shot. And the challenges that lie ahead. Last report is really an important report. With so my goal here is just to get okay, what concept. The way I do that by evaluating biology themes, okay, in movies, okay, and play scripts through critical thinking. That's what I'm trying to do, and trying to get them to see it deeper, getting them to think about why there's a value in integrating the sciences, humanities. That's another goal. And I was influenced by this essay by C.P. Snow talking about the two cultures. He talked about the humanities. C.P. Snow did about the humanities and the sciences, and he said they'll never get together. They don't understand each other. One's an elitist, the sciences are elitist, and that's not going to work. Stephen Jay Gould, just the opposite. He said, look, in this book, the hedgehog, the fox, and the magister's pox, he has this essay on the dynasty of the economy. And by his pen, they teach this anything science, a way of thinking this myself. So I started this as called a Heartless model. Small group of students. Small group of students. It's really they sit around a table, have a class of 15, discussion-based learning, which is a nightmare to evaluate and talking, saying, and it's student-centered completely. My role is for students who have a big mouth. Sometimes I shouldn't say things. I control myself. Students don't. You say, please be quiet. Okay. And we've heard enough of you. Okay. Don't criticize me. Yeah. So before class, I do it all in one night. It's an evening course, and they have to read a movie, see a movie, and read a play script. Try to prepare. Factory environment. Had as the virus, and then I use the Black Plague, okay, bubonic plague, as kind of the bacterial, right? The flea. And I had a great play on that, a flea spare. That was a play, and then they read that, and then they would have questions, and they bring it to class, and then we do the science. That's easier for me. Trust me. I could talk about bacteria and viruses, but preparing questions for them, yeah, no questions. Okay, the play, also movie, cinema is really good. I'm going to try it again this spring again. Okay, and then they come and discuss. Okay, that's the last slide. Okay, moving forward, challenges now. Okay, I talked about that would be part of the future. We have to change institutional culture. You and I had this discussion about how these kinds really important people really understand to stay calm. And then you have to really depend on students. You know what it's like when you have these pregnant dogs. Oh, so I could shine. And then grit. Oh, I'm going back. I do have those fears of insecurity, not on a date, but one another. And then you have to have the right physical space. Or in my case, what student fixed faculty content. And then the evaluation piece. People, they kind of they sort of say negative, criticize after going, oh, it doesn't work. I've done it this way for 30 years. Still alive. Still walking. Sure. Use my old note, right? Still get paid. So that's really something that has to change in terms of evaluating group work and getting good data out of it. And then how do you scale up? Problem. All right, I'm going to end with this: the equity piece. This comes out of the Boyer. How can U.S. research universities embrace the equity? These questions. Can we commit to equity as a necessary and defining precondition of excellence? Sorry, that's not just helping. But Michael B. raised by parents that never saw the end of they never finished high school. Can we reach out to those? And again, that's should be a precondition of excellence in terms of equity. Can we conceive, prioritize, and invest in equitable undergraduate teaching? Again, equitable, across, not just yeah. And finally, can we educate and support undergraduates for 20%? Have to acknowledge upper level administrators go crazy there. do what I wanted to do without shutting me down. And Howard just helped me do. Where we take a limited number of students, but we go to South Africa for a month. Haven't been in 2 years. Been shut down because of the plague. Yeah. So that.
Uh, Thanks so much, Professor. Sorry, this bit there is not things you really want to teach. You should be more flexible. But the good thing about the transmission is that it's going to be recorded, more people can see it, and we want more people to listen to what you have to say. Yeah, and you still not need to have it.
Oh, I still need this. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. People were saying, "Oh,
Okay.
we were not chatting. We were
Okay.
testing the system
I'll stay
with
here
the
too.
cell."
I won't move from here.
Anybody, si quieren hacer preguntas y no se sienten muy cómodos hablando en inglés, pueden hacerlo en español y yo las traduzco. ¿Alguien? Yeah. Sí, Víctor.
Okay. Yeah, come on up. Talk to it.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I mean, this is a wonderful talk. I'm really, really grateful. And so I was wondering, do you have something like a list of pictures, that you use normally, to try to engage students to this, that?
Well, good
Because
question.
I use that strategy, but I am certain, I'm sure that you have a very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, what I try to do is tell people it's all about storytelling and what I had to go through and how I got bored with science when I was young. That's really the key. I had some good teachers that really I remember back in middle school and elementary school and high school. But again, what I remember most of all is how we all had to compete with one another. I didn't see us working collaboratively as a group. We were always trying to really outshine, like there was some kind of zero-sum game, other students. And what we really want to do is get people supporting one another. And again, want faculty to be part of partners in the learning process. And that is really important also in medicine. Here are all these pre-meds, right, who are really, they're not thinking about, helping one another. I think that's really the key. And to me, that's really what has to happen. And there has to be a change. And how long have we been talking about this? I mean, how long have we been talking about how teaching, quality teaching, the Boyer report I talked about, that they're now, Ernie's dead. I met Ernie. He made a difference to me when he talked about the importance, of scholarship with teaching, to publish papers on teaching, that basically look at, these methods and say, these are evidence-based activities we're doing. And I think that has to happen. And so I think we have to have meetings placing grad students, great place to start, right? In terms of preaching about how important it is, change the landscape, the way we do science education. But then we need big groups that shout out loud and clear. This is worth doing. You know why? Because you were once an elementary school student. You were once an elementary school student, and you maybe had a good teacher in elementary school. And it starts early, getting turned off. And we've been talking about this for a long time. We realize it's reports. I want to get those reports there. We've been talking about this for a long time. Problems with access, right? That here we have students that come from home that it's not reinforced because their parents don't know. They're first generation. Those are the people we have to teach. Faculty, this is honorable. This is the right thing to do. That life is real short, folks. Take it from me. It's short, and you want to make a difference. You don't want to sort of say, "Oh, I'm done with my work." And you haven't made a difference. It's about making a difference. And the people that have impacted me the most are those folks that feel that passion, trying to change what's going on, and that's what I think you got to get across in terms of. And you're great. It's great to have graduate students here because when I was a graduate student, you know what happened? They just threw me into a lab. Nobody told me what to do. I just had to figure it out. And at least here is that you're getting it early enough that you can think broadly that this is something that's honorable. Okay, research is important. Look, University of Miami, same deal. They really reward research. How many grants have you brought in? I've been lucky. I've been able to get money to do education research for a long time, and they like that. But there has to be. And now, by the way, one more point. Now the provost and former president, they said, okay, we like your Science Made Sensible program. NS, National Science Foundation, we talked about this earlier, the person that came up with this program, told you about graduate students and undergraduates as resident scientists classroom. The National Science Foundation, Rita Colwell was the president then of the National Science Foundation, director rather, of that. And she got a lot of complaints from faculty saying, oh, this is a terrible program. You're giving my premier graduate student this score. And she has to go to the classroom, slowing them down from the research. They need to get out of here. And so NSF had enough complaints, by the way, from faculty saying, oh, this is a distraction. This is a distraction? No kidding, please. And this is a distraction. And then what Rita Colwell did, and after they shut it down, she did an analysis of students in this program, graduate students, she didn't do the undergrad. Graduate students in the program, was a graduate program initially. And guess what, folks? Guess what? The graduate students that got involved in the Science Made Sensible finding my program, they got out faster. They got their degree faster. And guess what, folks? They got placed in jobs where the students that were doing primarily research didn't have opportunities to go to small places where teaching was valued. That's what has to change here. And it's up to you. You're the one. You're the one. We're old. So it's really up to you. You're going to be torchbearers of making this difference. And when you go out and you'll sally forth to make a difference, once you realize how important it is, and sometimes you lose track of that when you're in a research institute or if you're in a research institute. Yeah, and then it's work that has been put aside by younger people where older, more established, that it jeopardizes. But we have to sort of realize this is time well spent, and we're going to reward this. And it has to come from the lower levels. It has to come research institutions from and upper levels rather. That departments themselves have to say we value lower from bottom up, top down. This president of the university. Good question. It's a long answer to your question.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your
Yeah,
inspiration and your passion. I love that. And the one point that I have touched that is extremely important: collaboration, and bringing people from
Right.
low level in society into this
Exactly. And
education is something
so it's really important. And I
Thank you very much.
from my own experience, parental support. So we established Family Science Sunday with students in our programs. They can bring their family in to do research and see how important it is. Yeah, good.
Any other questions from?
Yeah, well. Hi.
Yeah, I better take that off. It's hard to hear.
Okay. Can you
Is that on?
listen me?
Not on.
Okay.
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 Okay,
So,
let me get back here.
Um, well, it's not a question. It's I am analyzing all this information and how we can take in our situation, like our reality, like, for example, I was working with community
Uh-huh.
and with children that live in rural area.
Mhm.
And I am thinking how to take all this information to give to all these communities and to create this way and challenge to really happen, not in our country and in our the place where we will work and all this. Well, for me, it's very a motivation. Listen you and think that we have the responsibility,
Yes.
like students in a PhD students, and also it's a very challenge of mine.
Well, good. I mean, I think that's the right way to go. It's getting out in the community. And what's really important in the community is to make it relevant to them. This is, this is important to understand global warming, right?
Yeah.
That we want to be here 50, 100 years from now. And I think by giving them that kind of chance, not to tell them it, preach to them, but more or less giving them evidence. It's always about evidence. I mean, two things that really need to happen. And you mentioned one of them, communication. We need to communicate how important all this is in a way that's okay, and non-polarized. Okay. And then the second piece of this, the community, is say, hey, look at this, look what's going on here. And let's go and look at this. And I think you can do this in the community. And I'm really happy that you are trying to do that. And it's
Yeah, also I think we need more collaboration with all NG and with the government, to show them really what happened and they
Exactly.
will understand the situation from our eyes. Like
right. Good. And also remember, it takes just a small group of people who want to make a difference. It takes really people that are going to try to kind of organize other people to also buy in. And that's the way we're going to change the world. Change it really with passionate people that are going to really get out there in the community and start as early as you can. And I really believe in what's happened now with me is that they want to have a program like Science Made Sensible. They want me to go into elementary schools, and I don't have any experience. I'm totally clueless, but I'm going to try to get people from the School of Education to work with me. And they want even preschool. I mean, and I kind of say preschool. I said, yes, we could start really with preschool kids. And don't think they're not going to be receptive. We can really get them going early. Me, daunting. But good.
and it's a great idea, the storyline and the chapter. I have 4 nephews, and so I don't have experience with.
Okay.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
More than a question, don't know how to phrase it, but I don't think that it's up to us. The future of this kind of thing, it's actually up to all of it. It's the same way of thinking that the future is to the next generation. It's not. It's from the actual generation. If it were up to us, this already will be a thing. We all have to drag
Because you're progressive.
drag off of the mud,
Yeah.
teaching and learning. we all
A mentor who's going to really sort of show you some of the,
tenemos que ser the self-learner.
okay.
Other.
Uh-huh.
The actual question is not for you, but for Victor. Why is this not a thing PhD program? Not only for us students, because there's
It's a good question.
there is actually
In other words,
there is actually a requisite that you have to teach a number of hours, and nobody can give you a capacitation for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only for the students, but also for the teachers here, for all the.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think you have a good point. It's on us.
So that's not.
It's on us. It's our problem. And that's what we're trying to solve. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. You're here because of that very thing. Is that we got to start somewhere. This is a program that's trying to do that. All of that. That's why I came. I came here because I saw this as an opportunity. I'm honored that I got here because I feel you are. Don't get any reinforcement saying, oh, this is really legitimate. This is a legitimate way to teach and to spend time, then we're not going anywhere. And I think you've got a good group of people here that I firmly believe, and I don't really, I'm pretty direct, honest. I think you have a firm group of people here that care about these issues. And that is why they can get money as they need, scrape up their money and really cut costs, and for everybody, they to be able to make a difference. Very, very good situation. As I said earlier on, this is really fabulous. And I think you have a community of practice, word I use, where you'll get together for this week and then you'll exchange ideas, you'll join the company and get sort of new ideas going on. And I really feel like you're the hope. I don't think I'm the hope anymore. Look, just right? And feel okay. But I think that's really feel good. Somebody else said that. How do you feel? Are you okay? Yeah. Oh, I'm okay. And so I think that really is what growth is in the future of the world. Mexico, United States, the future of the world. Because we don't have educated people that know how to think. We can see in a new situation that might be really falling critical thinking, then we're in trouble. This whole world. That's what critical thinking is, not to memorize. That's, I hope, what will happen here as this program continues. God willing. And I think that's really the hope. Don't you? You have any comments? You should make comments on this because, yeah, make my comment. Really important point.
Gracias. Un poco para una de las cuestiones que el doctorado, y eso no nos hace una coordinando la traje al doctor Marco a dar un curso a nosotros, y de ahí él que me invitó a él, que se había dado. Creo que es una pequeña, no suficiente, pero esperamos que sea más. Y además creo que el futuro son ustedes. Y esto es una pequeña iniciativa que ustedes tienen como una oficial. Yo les voy a pasar esta fecha para que ustedes. Y acá había una sorry. No, I was just telling them that this is not about that if we are the future or they are the future. I think
We're all-
we all are
We're all
the
the
future.
future.
And
We're all
also
the future.
that it's just a short step to start something that we want. If we want to change, we have to start somewhere. But we started long ago, but just was a little step, and this is another one. Just summarize.
The only thing, sometimes I wonder how flexible people are after. I'm sure they were focused, and so I get that from my colleagues. That as you sort of do this for a while, then you get set in your ways, and it's easy to go ahead and let moving statement. That's my fear about people just losing down the road. They might start out younger. That's what I see a lot. Same old, same old. Because I learned that way. Why can't they learn that way? Huh? I mean, what's wrong with that? Are they lazy? No. It's not. That's feeling.
And we might find we all but not right.
Right. All of it. All of it.
Translations is and but people animals doesn't really don't really want to work. I had the experience to work with a high school group too. The students were very apathetic.
Yeah.
Really, they don't really want to work, and they were kind of lazy, and sometimes they didn't assist class. Maybe I was boring, but no. Maybe I
Don't
was
say that.
my
No.
maybe my
No.
maybe my class was bored or something, but I don't know. What would you do with the group that is that way?
I would try that. Those are hard groups. I've worked with groups like that. You have to find some spark of interest, and you have to sort of tell a story. You got to tell a story. Tell a story, and that way you can try to get them to relate in certain ways. I always tell my story about how I was brought up in terms of not having the kind of incentive that I needed because for different reasons. My parents were always working. I loved them. They loved me. Don't get me wrong. Peace. But again, I didn't have the same kind of stimulation that a lot of other kids had. And so I was, back then, I wasn't a great student. No, I wasn't. And I think it took, for me, I'm going to repeat this, great teachers that said, oh, this person's excited about this. I want to know why that person's so excited and is getting really, really up about Shakespeare or King Lear going crazy on the heat or something. And then that's what you got to figure out is how to find your own interests, what you're passionate about, and try to relate that to the students. And even if it's tangential topic at the end, that's a way to suck them in. I really think so. Engagement. That's a good way to put it because
Yeah, I'm just going to repeat what I said. I think what Professor said here is the reality of life, not only a student, it's getting engagement, so getting involved, and also ownership. Feel it that it's yours. That makes if you think it's yours.
right. And I think again to reiterate that engagement is piece. Then start really pulling it in. Pass. Push that. Make the point. He to engage. Yeah, but you kind of emphasize that.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say this in Spanish because
Yeah, sure.
I have to say something. No. But anyway, point is, como Silvia dijo, hay que a partir de algún punto. Y Silvia estará de testigo y no me dejará mentir. Yo le pedí inscripción a este curso, fui rechazado. Espera. No, sí, pero a lo que voy es, he tenido la gran oportunidad, el honor de escuchar esta eh, presentación que fue maravillosa y motivante, pero lo que quiero llegar es a, hemos detectado que tenemos ese problema desde hace años, como bien dijo Silvia, y lo que queremos es justamente ahorita tener la forma de cambiarlo, ¿no? Y traer a Marco, traer este curso, por eso yo felicito tanto a Silvia y espero que esto sea el principio de un programa que, como bien dijo el profesor, sea constante, consistente y que nos permita a todos involucrarnos, ¿no? Y tener esta transversalidad que necesitamos. Como bien dijo él, no desde acá dando la misa, no trabajando todos en conjunto. Y vamos a tener resistencia, pero este es el punto de partida. Just taking your point, it's not preaching, it's that we really need to work together as a team, and Sylvia said, we are the future. We all are the future. Thank you.
In English, yes. Victor said that he was rejected. Yes, when we opened this course, it was a high demand from students, but also the professor wanted to join. And I said, sorry, this is students now. That's why he said he was rejected. It's not that. So we hope that Marcos can bring another, or we can bring another course for teachers, professors. And the other thing is that we gather, and Marcos gather a very nice group of people that will come to give talk. And that's why we opened this for more people. And that's why we wanted to have the streaming. So all the professors, people in civil staff, and even I sent to international colleagues.
Oh.
So this is going to be shared. That's why we are bothering you with the microphone, but this is going to be recorded and lectures. Not all the activities that you will have the privilege of. They only will